But we're going to move on into credit. And this is essentially, your credit is your ability to take on credit from lenders and providers. It's funny that this is called credit when in reality there is no prize for having good credit. The prize for having good credit is the ability to take on debt. And I don't think that is a prize. So I don't know why it's called a credit score. It should just be called a debt score. But I think there's some reverse psychology going on here so that we feel like, wow, I have credit for taking on debt. But anyway, when it comes to your credit, you want to know your credit history, and this is all in your report. So your history is basically how well you have paid your bills in the past. This is something that lenders will weigh, and not just lenders. A lot of employers look at credit reports, landlords look at credit reports. If you're trying to get a paid service, like a contract service, like a cell phone, for example, many will look at your credit report. So credit is becoming something that is pretty much more than lending, right? So the history of how well you've paid your debt, paid your bills, and paid your debt is credit history. Typically, debt is reported on a credit report. However, bills are not, right? So if you do not pay, I don't know, your phone bill, your medical bill, it's not reported on your credit. If you do pay your phone bill, your medical bill, it's not reported on your credit. However, if you do not pay those bills, then they get reported on your credit as negative remarks. Your credit report is the documentation of your credit history from various sources. So credit card companies report to your credit reports, the banks, collection agencies, they all report to the main credit bureaus, which are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And they will tell Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion what your total debt is, what your available credit is, what your debt to credit ratio is, how timely you paid your bills or not. And then your credit score is the grading that's given to you by these three bureaus based on the information that's reported to them about you and based on the credit history they've aggregated about you. And so this is used to help lenders determine or predict how well you will pay your bills in future. And that then becomes the determination of how much that debt you're trying to take on as a mortgage, as a loan, is going to cost you in terms of the interest rate. So when it comes to maintaining or rebuilding your credit, you need to check your credit report at least once a year with all three credit bureaus. Annualcreditreport.com is a free report offered through the government for you to get your credit reports. You can also look at your credit reports through many banks. Many credit cards are offering your FICO score or credit monitoring. Very important that you pay attention to it. Pay your credit card bills on time. If you cannot pay, call and have a conversation. And if you're leveraging credit, you want to aim to pay your credit card bills in full each month and build that spending into your budget. If you're behind on payments, catch up on your payments. If your credit card is lost or stolen, report it to the credit bureaus immediately as a phone call, as an email, and also in writing. You may need to file a police report depending on if charges have been made, but immediately report it when you realize it's lost. And then one thing to keep in mind is that 1 in 3 credit reports has an error on it. It could be as simple as a wrong address, a misspelled name, or as serious as an extra dollar on a credit card debt that you have. So you definitely want to check your credit report for errors. And then I would say that when it comes to protecting your credit, be very careful with personal information, especially in this digital age. There's so much theft around personal data, identity theft, credit theft. And what happens is that these hackers or people who are working on the dark web are very smart in that they are patient. They may get your information today and sit on it for 2 to 3 years before taking any action because they need to sell it to the highest bidder. They need the noise to die down. So any documentation with personal information, please shred it. Do not carry your social security number in your wallet. You don't need it there. Do not put, I've seen people with their credit cards and then a pin with a post-it note with a pin for their credit card or debit card stuck to the back of it. Please don't do this. Unless you're traveling, you don't need your passport. Take your license instead. And then no bank, no credit card company is going to call you and say, "Hi, Bola, I'm calling you, but can you verify yourself and tell me your social security number?" Never. That will never happen. If you get a call like that, hang up and call your bank back. If a bank is calling you, they already know who they are calling, right? They have all your information. They don't need you to verify with that level of personal detail. So it's really important that you're mindful. Someone asked if credit monitoring service is worth the cost. Credit Karma is a really great tool. Someone just mentioned that, and that is free. A lot of banks and credit card companies are offering free credit monitoring up to a degree. But if you are in the space where you're trying to leverage credit for something important, like buying a house in the next 2 years, for example, or you've been a victim of credit fraud, credit monitoring is certainly worth it. If you've been a victim of credit fraud and it has been the fault of the credit provider, so for example, there was that big breach a few years back with Target, another one with Neiman Marcus, I believe, they are required to offer you monitoring services for free. So someone else mentioned Chase Journey from Chase credit card. So a lot of credit card companies now are realizing that they need to be able to provide their customers with insights as to what is happening because of just the high, really, really high occurrence of identity theft and credit fraud.